This wouldn't be Capitol Hill Ocean Week without a few special announcements, and we're going to start with a pretty exciting one about our National Marine Sanctuaries, and I think we have a video to share with you all. Dr. Richard Spinrad is Undersecretary of Commerce for Oceans and Atmosphere and NOAA Administrator. As the leader of the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration's 12,000-person workforce, Dr. Spinrad provides strategic direction for NOAA's products and services to address climate change, the crisis there, fosters environmental sustainability and economic development, and he focuses on infusing equity into all aspects of the agency's work and workforce. Please welcome NOAA Administrator Dr. Rick Spinrad.
Thank you for that kind introduction, Joel, and to you and the National Marine Sanctuary Foundation, along with all of the other organizers who are celebrating today and who've helped move this designation process forward. Thank you to everyone. What an amazing introduction to our nation's newest marine sanctuary, Sweet 16. Let's give a round of applause. Woo! I've got to tell you, as a native New Yorker, I am absolutely delighted that the Lake Ontario National Marine Sanctuary is the first marine sanctuary in the great state of New York, but not the last. Lake Ontario's maritime history spans thousands of years, from the earliest peoples to present. The first regional inhabitants, the indigenous peoples of the Haudenosaunee Confederacy, developed a deep connection to the lake and its resources. NOAA acknowledges the ancestral lands that lie within the boundaries of this sanctuary, as well as all of our sanctuaries, and we're dedicated to building equitable partnerships with indigenous peoples in the stewardship of these places. Lake Ontario Marine Sanctuary also includes a diversity of nationally significant underwater assets, including archaeological sites, shipwrecks, and submerged aircraft, all of which provide a sense of place in the region's robust maritime history, as well as its cultural history. In designating this sanctuary, we've taken into account community feedback, and the programs and regulations reflect the input. I'm delighted to note that NOAA and the State of New York will co-manage this sanctuary. Partnerships and collaborations are core values of our nation's sanctuary system. The designation of Lake Ontario National Marine Sanctuary is the culmination of a years-long community-driven nomination and designation process. Our amazing National Marine Sanctuary team has worked with the community every step of the way, and I want to thank and acknowledge John Armour, Ellen Brody, Matt Brookhart, and our Assistant Administrator of the National Ocean Service, Nicole LeBoeuf, for all of the great work that they've done. Please give them a round of applause as well. Thank you. Sanctuaries are designed to involve community members as well, and it's a pleasure to acknowledge Bill Christ, the chair of the Lake Ontario Sanctuary Advisory Council. Finally, I want to thank and acknowledge our partners at the county and state level, including New York State's Deputy Commissioner for Historic Preservation, Daniel McKay, and Oswego Administrator Phil Church, who's long been a champion of this effort as well. Now, you're going to hear from them in a moment, but first, I have the honor of introducing a great champion for NOAA and our ocean conservation and management work, and a man I call my friend, Deputy Commerce Secretary Don Graves.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. Spinrad, or I should say Rick, for that introduction. It is always a pleasure to join you to celebrate more of NOAA's amazing accomplishments, and I know that there will be a whole lot more of those. And this is a major accomplishment, not just for NOAA and the National Marine Sanctuary system, but for President Biden's America the Beautiful initiative. I grew up on the Great Lakes, specifically Lake Erie, just a little ways down the road in Cleveland from Lake Ontario, and I understand firsthand just how vital these waterways are to the local, to the regional, and to our national economies. President Biden has been a leading figure in setting out the first national-scale conservation goals for land and ocean. And under his leadership, we've seen an unprecedented expansion in the sanctuary system with 5 more designations in process, and today's announcement pushes that mission forward. The sanctuary designation helps advance the initiative, which supports locally led collaborative conservation efforts across the country. Places like Lake Ontario are also the model for how we can advance economic growth at the same time as conservation to make our communities stronger together. Lake Ontario will join other Great Lakes sanctuaries like Thunder Bay and Wisconsin Shipwreck Coast as key drivers for creating economic opportunity and partnerships. The region has a centuries-long legacy of leadership in maritime innovation, trade, transportation, serving as a critical player in the development of East Coast cities like New York, Philadelphia, Boston, and of course westward, past Cleveland and Buffalo, Detroit, Chicago, and beyond. And the harbor in Oswego is also the oldest freshwater port in the United States, intertwining the history of the region with the history of nearly every other Great Lakes community. And being a student of history, it's important for us to remember that the Eastern Lake Ontario region has also been a host to a diverse array of events, important events in our nation's history, from, of course, military conflicts to maritime innovation and the growth of this country from its earliest days. Thanks to NOAA and the entire Biden-Harris administration, current and future generations will experience this sanctuary and its maritime and cultural resources, forming what I think is a rich maritime cultural landscape for all of us to promote, protect, and preserve. And with that, I'm happy to turn it over to our partner at the New York State Office of Parks and Recreation and Historic Preservation, their Deputy Commissioner, Daniel McKay.
Good morning, and thank you for that warm welcome. Here at Shao and back home in New York, today is for celebration at the announcement of Lake Ontario's designation as New York's first national marine sanctuary. This designation has been founded in collaboration and community, sparked by the ideas and energy of visionary local government leaders who crafted the Eastern Lake Ontario Sanctuary nomination nearly 7 years ago. New York State Governor Hochul commends the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration for their work to create a sanctuary that will honor our rich history while we look ahead to a bright future as a world-class center of maritime history, heritage, and culture. The designation is as unique as the special place it is designed to protect, the latest in NOAA's work in building a network of sanctuaries honoring the Great Lakes' rich history. The sanctuary will cover 1,700 square miles of our beautiful North Coast and protect over 43 known shipwrecks and an aircraft, representing centuries of history. NOAA took great care to listen and tailor every aspect of the sanctuary and the management plan to the people, places, and needs of Lake Ontario's communities. This sanctuary places New York's upstate communities and waters on the national stage, recognizing the region's unique and significant maritime resources, its indelible mark in American history, and that of the First Nations and its world-class recreational opportunities as well. The sanctuary will enrich and expand opportunities in research and education throughout the region, bringing scientists, scholars, archaeologists, and school children to the area to study and increase access to these submerged relics and elevate their storied past. Enhanced tourism and recreation will drive economic opportunity for surrounding communities. This new sanctuary is another indication of the ongoing transformation of our Great Lakes communities in New York State and represents a monumental step forward with NOAA to highlight all that our great state has to offer. Leaders from across local government, like Phil Church, the county administrator for Oswego, who will follow me today, the First Nations, like the Onondaga Nation, that advised NOAA throughout this designation, and numerous community organizations and businesses across the region who have been at the forefront showing us what's possible when we work together. Governor Hochul also acknowledges the impressive work of the Sanctuary Advisory Committee, Council, members who brought us so energetically to this marker. Council members worked diligently to garner support even in the midst of the pandemic and the daunting challenges that presented. My sincere thanks to each and every member of the Advisory Council for these efforts. The palpable excitement for this designation is a testament to their shared vision. New York State joins NOAA in embarking on this next chapter. A new national marine sanctuary in Eastern Lake Ontario will develop and strengthen partnerships and collaborations. We are committed to co-managing the sanctuary with NOAA and will be taking the final steps in the coming months to formalize that relationship. New York State agencies like the Department of State, the Office of Parks, Recreation, and Historic Preservation, and the New York State Museum are already working hard to bolster enthusiasm, interest, and resources across the region to carry this designation through implementation to success. Thank you. Let me now introduce Phil Church, Oswego County, New York, Administrator and Chair of the Nomination Committee.
Thank you, Dan. Good morning. This designation marks exactly 10 years since NOAA's Reed Boney visited myself and the mayor of Oswego to tell us about this thing called a National Marine Sanctuary Program. Intrigued, we gathered leaders from rural counties of Wayne, Cayuga, Jefferson, and Oswego, and the city of Oswego, and decided to embark together on a nomination effort. We all recognized a sanctuary based on shipwrecks and our unique maritime heritage would create beneficial economic, educational, research, and cultural opportunities. This designation is the culmination of a decade of enthusiastic work by innumerable people. These included the elected and appointed public officials across 4 counties, state officials and federal officials, and the NOAA team led by Ellen Brody, the Haudenosaunee, and many, many civic organizations, and the remarkably dedicated private citizens who volunteered countless hours to the Advisory Council led by Bill Christ and Katie Malinowski. And of course, to this foundation, and people like you who continue to support and value all of the sanctuaries, whether they're saltwater or fresh, or whether they're environmental or heritage-based. National marine sanctuaries are few because they are considered extraordinary special places. It's thanks to everyone that I just mentioned that the communities of southeastern Lake Ontario can now showcase our special place to the world. 5 years ago, I opened the first public hearing of the designation process by telling people about why I was involved, and I posed a few questions to them, questions that at the time didn't have answers. I told them of what I had seen and experienced as a shipwreck diver around the Great Lakes, and I asked them, why can't we have responsible and conservational access to wrecks in Lake Ontario? Why can't we bring the lake's secrets into every elementary classroom in the region? Because you can teach every classroom subject around the exciting subject of a shipwreck, and the kids love it. And I asked, why can't we provide engaging, hands-on, marine-related experiences to young people all over the lakefront region and open their minds to new possible maritime careers and leadership opportunities and roles? Those why can't we questions are finally answered. As of today, through the Sanctuary Program, the answer is we can. After 10 years, it's tempting to think of today as a climax, as a culminating reward for hard work, as an ending. But that's not how we think. Now the truly rewarding effort begins as our communities begin working in partnership with federal and state agencies to realize the sanctuary's promise. The education and understanding, the research and collaboration, the economic opportunities, and the adventures all still lie before us. It's not the end. It's just the beginning of the great Lake Ontario National Marine Sanctuary. Thank you all, and enjoy your conference.